You know what the whistleblower was? The same letter that we announced yesterday, which was perfect. I couldn't have written it better if I wrote it myself. I could not have said or had a better conversation. And we had a really nice gentleman and president of Ukraine yesterday. And he was good. And they said, was he pressuring you? You know, these animals in the press. They're animals. They're absolutely some of the worst human beings you'll ever meet.
Thank you.
They're scum. Many of them are scum. And you have some good reporters, but not many, I'll be honest with you. But, and that's one of the things we battle. And you'll find out. But they'll probably like you better than they like me. But I had to get us here, right? But they're total, just terrible, dishonest people. And they couldn't figure out, what do we say bad about this conversation? Then it turns out that they had senators, Democrat senators, that went over there and strong-armed the guy. You better damn well do this or you're not going to get any money from Congress. Oh, I see, that's okay. And then you have Sleepy Joe Biden, who's dumb as a rock. This guy was dumb on his best day. And he's not having his best day right now. He's dumb as a rock. So you have Sleepy Joe, and he goes up, and his kid, who's got a lot of problems, got thrown out of the Navy for problems. I mean, look, I'm not gonna, it's a problem. That's a problem. So we won't get into why and all that. But he got thrown out of the Navy. And now this kid goes into Ukraine, walks away with millions of dollars, and he becomes a consultant for $50,000 a month. And he doesn't know anything compared to anybody in this room, okay? He's a stiff. He knows nothing. He's walking away with 50,000, or as you would say in the old days, 50K a month, right?
Not bad.
Not bad. Would anybody else in this room like to represent the Ukraine for 50,000? That's on top. You got the top. That's on top of hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. But that's not the best one. The best one is China. This came up. So now he goes to China, and I was with the head of Blackstone, which is the big deal, Steve Schwarzman. I said, Steve, is that possible? No. Why? Who got that? Who did that? I said, Biden's done. Oh, well then, you know, he says, maybe I should get involved. You know, I know it's very political. Right? I say, Steve, what happens when you come off a vice presidential plane, it's called Air Force Two, your father's with you, you walk into a room in China, and they give you a fund of $1.5 billion, you make hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars off that. And that's probably not all they gave them plenty more, I'm sure. We might never find out. And then they talk about me and I didn't do anything. I don't know if I'm the most innocent person in the world. But you know, you look at that, most presidential. I just said I'm the most presidential except for possibly Abe Lincoln when he wore the hat. That was tough to beat. Honest Abe, when he wore that hat, that was tough to beat, but I can't do that. That hat wouldn't work for me. But I have better hair than him. But Honest Abe was tough to beat. Remember we used to do that during the campaign? They used to say, when I speak, the crowd would be crazy. I'd go crazy. We'd all go crazy. We'd have a lot of fun together, right? We'd have 25,000. We've never had an empty seat. From the day I came down the escalator with a potential unbelievable woman who became a first lady. A potential great first lady. We've never had, and they do, the crowds love her, the people love her, but we've never had an empty seat, not one. I really believe that. There was one case where we had a tremendous snowstorm. And it was just about full. It was a massive, it was like a monstrous storm. I don't even know how I got there. They said, how's the crowd? It's just about full, sir. I said, what does that mean? Like there's about 2 seats on top. Thousands and thousands of people couldn't get there. So they show pictures of the empty seats. They don't say there's the worst storm they've had in years. They show pictures of like 9 empty seats together. It could have been people just went to the bathroom together, right? But we've never, and I always say, just to get the biggest arena. Good location if you can, but get the biggest arena. We did it the other night, Tuesday night. We had 2 congressmen. One was possibly going to win. He was up by 2. He won by about 27, I think, or something like that, a lot. The other one was down by 17, and they said, sir, don't campaign for him, please. Why? Because if he loses, they're going to kill you, the press. I said, they're going to kill me whether I campaign or not. It'll make it a little bit worse. They'll say he worked and he failed. Trump failed. The guy was down 17 points, and he ended up winning by a lot. He ended up winning by a lot. In fact, the whole night, CNN, we built the most beautiful $2 million maybe they spent. No wonder they're losing the rest. They have no ratings, and they're building studios all over the place. But they had a studio. This studio was going to stay up for weeks. And toward the end of the night, they were taking it down. The so-called stars were leaving, net stars. There aren't many stars. They have less than stars, but they were taking the stars were leaving. And they didn't want to report it. But the candidate, Dan Bishop, won by a lot. He was down by 17, and they had lines a mile long. I mean, the lines going into those voting booths were unbelievable. And without the rally speech and a couple of tweets, the Twitter stuff is good. We have like way over 100 million people on 6 or 7 different platforms. It's actually much higher than that, even higher than just about everybody. And it helps. They have signs oftentimes when I speak. It said, please keep, this woman the other night, beautiful woman, she's got a sign. Please keep tweeting, sir, it matters. And it does matter, because we got our voice in it. If we don't do that, we don't get the voice. I can't say what a great job Kelly's doing. And I can't say what a wonderful husband she is. Look at how devoted he is. He's a rich man, too. He's loaded. What are you doing here? Why aren't you working? He's so proud of his wife he can't leave his office. That's really great, though, huh? It's good. You are proud of her? He said very much. And he's really a fantastic guy. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Before I met Kelly, I met Joe. And Joe impressed me because of his knowledge of energy. Now, he could be paid. Okay. You going to pay a guy $50? Now, he wouldn't take it. For him, that's not quite good enough, although he might. He might. It's easy money, Joe, you have to say, right? But he would be an expert on energy. He'd be a real expert, and he would be somebody that you spare a lot of money to, but not Biden's son. So the whistleblower came out and said nothing. Said a couple of people told me he had a conversation with Ukraine. We're at a war. These people are sick. They're sick. And nobody's called it out like I do. I don't understand. People are afraid to call it out. They're afraid to say that the press is crooked. We have a crooked press. We have a dishonest media. So now they're devastated, but they'll always find something. I'm sure there'll be something they'll find in this report that will suit their eye. But basically, that person never saw the report, never saw the call, meaning never saw the call, heard something, and decided that he or she, whoever the hell it is, sort of like almost a spy. I want to know who's the person that gave the whistleblower, who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information? Because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? With spies and treason, right? We used to handle it a little differently than we do now. Now you have guys like little Adam Schiff defending you. Little Adam. He says, Pencilman. That name stuck. No, those guys, he's got a neck, it's about this big, and he's got shirts that are too big because you can't buy shirts that small. He was never a coal miner, Joe, let's put it that way. I don't think he worked in the mines, do you think? I don't think so.